You're to witness
The recording is
something
on.
monumental.
It is fucking beautiful.
Nice.
Good friend, great instructor, Jay Gibson from Tactical Response. Stole it from him. Uses the phrase, let the feet, let the gun. And you kind of go like, yeah, that's pretty profound. The question now is whether your feet that doing that, all that feeding, things that feet do, how well they are trained. And when I say how well are they trained, now we start connecting, okay, so my feet are gonna do what they need to do. Now, we need to define what they need to do to allow my gun to do what my gun needs to do. But all of that needs to be done in a fashion that minimizes my openness and unpressurized and challenged exposure to my opponent. So would you say as you come out there, if you simply focusing on accurate hits, when you're coming out from that, into that first doorway and then you start rounding that, the most upfront barrel, right? How quickly you started putting the shots? Should the focus be, if you're focusing on hitting the target only, okay, most likely your shots only started when you already have full body in the open and now you have that extension and you're working. Somewhere in between there, he saw what? This, that, but nothing is being projected towards him. Hopefully your gun is in the fight, so at least there is that pressure, right? But are you putting anything effective on him to diminish his functionality? What is the most dangerous part? They call it fatal funnel when you're entering the room, right? Is when you're entering the door. So in the 2-5, in the geometry of that drill, what are the most dangerous? Is entry and exit, not while you're floating in there. Staying on square one. As I step in here, I'm staying on square one. I didn't step far enough, which means I'm gonna have to cross. I'm still staying on square one. I'm still on square one. I transition, I'm on square two, I'm on square two. So our focus to a certain degree, to a relatively high degree, has to be of fine-tuning what the feet do to accommodate so that the gun can gun efficiently as soon as possible. Not to wait until I have what you consider optimal alignment with everything, but to create that optimality at the first moment of exposure. We're gonna work on it and I'll demonstrate. So basically, as you're coming around the corner, you already should be able, not only should be able, but preferably you would want to do that, putting the effective hits on them. Because of shooting and marksmanship being really the measuring sticks in most of the gun classes, what it has become is that we don't account for the preparatory process before we press the trigger, what he can do to us during that time. We're only looking at it as I'm preparing to make the shots. What the fuck he can do to you while you're preparing to make those good hits, right? Where it's gonna make a difference is, and I'm coming in here and I'm placing those, okay? And when I'm connecting the hand, whether it was 1 or 2 shots, when I'm connecting that hand and shots, make sure that it comes from behind. That way, that single shot from here is consistent with second shot. So this is something that we're going to work on extensively this weekend, and it's a bloody work, guys. As I'm coming in here, as I press it out, it's on there. When I connect my hand here, if it comes from under, see what happens. It went up. If I connect my hand with it coming from behind, okay, it's going to be more consistent with my first shot. Work one shot and connection. And then second shot will be post connection, post introducing the support hand. If that hand comes from here, you'll see what's going to happen from here. It will go here. If you come from behind, it's more likely you're going to have more consistency in placing those shots closer to where they need to be within that square. So you enter around, you work around that front barrel, and then there's your exit. Right? If you are so focused on exiting it that more of your attention is on exiting it versus of exiting while being able to pressurize him, that's your second moment of very high vulnerability. While you floating there, I really don't care that much. Why I don't care that much? Because most likely you're in somewhat optimal position to shoot. So you're going to be plugging holes into him. But that initial entry before you become optimal, and when that optimal situation falls apart because now you have to turn back and exit, these are very vulnerable points. And most people, they kind of try like, I don't care, here I am, I'm shooting, and I don't care. No, in those two spots of I don't care, this is where you die. So your problem now is becoming with the last 3 runs, these are working good. This one you're kicking low and off to the side, right? Yeah. So this is post-transition. Something post-transition.
There is really a timing to it.
It is. Because I think your timing is off because your transition is slightly too slow. Mm-hmm. So when you're transitioning from two-hand, by the time you have it pointed, your shoulders already swing like this, and that pushes your hand off to the side. So if you did a transition a little bit faster and your shoulders are maybe this far instead of this far, you would not throw that hand off to the side. So I know, in theory, it's kind of a little bit obscure, but once we get there and we start working that thing, you'll see how much detail and, and all of a sudden that thing, let the feet. And you go like, well, that's a fucking rabbit hole right there. How are they gonna feed? What do I need to do? What kind of shit do I need to train? What kind of stuff do I need to adjust in order for those feet to do the work in such a manner that the part of gunning, the gun doing the gun stuff, is not affected negatively by your feet simply doing the feet stuff. It's not simply doing the feet stuff. It needs to be adjusted to accommodate other work, which comes from your upper body, which is handling, controlling, and utilizing your weapon. If you find yourself that you manage to take a close step in here, which facilitates longer step here, and I can still stay two-handed as I start stepping and then transition, notice my body is not as edged. You find yourselves completely almost like shooting backwards. Okay? I'm still here. Okay? And what allows me to do that is having those steps bigger. So when we're doing like, even simple drills that all of you have done to some degree in other classes, right? You're standing, I tell you down, and you need to get back on your back, and then get back up with your gun presented. Right? Practice it slow enough to really detect it. Where are the moments of your suck? because somewhere within that descent and then ascent, it's not all the same as far as your ability, your density, so to speak. Density of the ability. I'll just even use that. Density of the ability to do the gun stuff. While you're standing in your first, 12, 16, maybe 24 inches of descent into the supine position, you're relatively good in your gunning stuff is not affected severely. But then when now you have to put the knee down or extend your leg before your ass lands, is it the same density of the abilities? For most people, it's not. So then in the philosophy of keeping it simple, right, is what? Do all the damage from where you're good and forget about where you suck. Well, because you forget about something, does it cease to exist?
You wish.
No, you're just no longer paying attention to it. It's there. You just willfully decided, I don't care. Your opponent doesn't know that that's the part where he should not care about either. As far as he's concerned, you target 100% of the time, whether you in your good area or you in your willfully ignored suck area. You're the same fucking target. Right? So what is the solution then? Eliminate the suck. And that's where you find those last 12, 20 inches of your movement where your density of ability is significantly diminished, and that's where you focus your work. Until you really don't give a shit where I'm going to be shooting from here, or I'm fucking 8 inches from the ground, or I'm going to be shooting from there. It's the same. And that's where, if you have functioning brain, you start realizing that's going to take a lot of very detailed and dedicated work. And it's not going to look like anything that you put on the fucking, for the viral video on Instagram or whatnot, because you're going to be working those inches from weird position and going like, how does it affect? What needs to turn which way? Because if I'm all twisted like this, it's not the same density of ability as it is here, right? It's not. It has changed. So you go like, well, I don't have good side picture alignment, let's say. Okay, this is just a matter of example. Why? Well, I can't acquire it. Why? Well, I'm just moving so fast. Why? This is where the most fucked up question in your life, why, comes to be, and it's just like this annoying fucking, you know what I mean? It's just in front of your, just like nagging ex-wife, you know what I mean? That's why she's ex, right? Just shut the fuck up. No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. You cannot slap it the fuck out of the way. It's just there. Okay? Keep that nagging bitch around. She's good for you. She sucks, but she's good for you. Feel me?
Yeah.
And eventually, if you're patient enough to keep that bitch around, that's always asking why, you may seek an answer. And the answer is probably going to come from a different place. And you'll realize that you cannot acquire, again, as an example, that side picture alignment, because guess what comes next? Because your conditioning sucks. Because somewhere in that range, your body per se falls apart. You are not able to control it. When it falls apart and you're not controlling it, how the fuck you gonna align this with that? You can't, because shit is out of balance, because you're not doing the movement properly, gravity took over, inertia took over. It's not the movement that you control. It's not your movement, it's just the movement that controls you. So again, you kind of go like, oh, so what you're saying again, it has nothing to do with the gun. Yes, in order for you to do the gun stuff well, what you're going to have to do seemingly has nothing to do with the gun. It's working with your body. Hey, Sonny, why is your focus so much on physical? Because everything I do involves physicality. Everything. The way I lift my arm, the way I turn my elbow, the way my shoulder sits, the way my head extends if it's a rifle. All of that has to do how quickly and how effective of the hits I'm going to be able to put on that other dude. You know, dudes have no problem, right, fine-tuning their weapon. They'll go over 15 different razors for their fucking optics on the rifle until they find that one optimal one. They'll change 6 different triggers until they find what they think is optimal. The stock length, the cheek rest, all that stuff, you know. I mean, they'll spend thousands and thousands of dollars until they find that one. They go like, finally. At the same time, here's the dude with 80 pounds extra around his waist who hasn't done a squat or a push-up in the last fucking 28 months. Do we have a problem?
But he's got a nice trigger.
Huh?
He's got a nice trigger.
Yes. Excellent. I'm almost jealous.
But that gear is set to his inability for his
And that's the
physical
biggest
attributes.
that's the biggest problem. You know what I mean? This is not just about economy 101 and spending money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about it like this. If you're building a car to race at the highest level circuit of F1, right? And you build the engine. I mean, you know a little bit about engines and all that stuff, right? But as soon as you build the engine, now you're starting to worry which tires you're going to put in for it to have a grip. You haven't tuned yet that engine with suspension, with transmission, with weight distribution, with downforce for the aerodynamics and all that stuff, but you're picking the tires. Right? The other guy who knows a little bit more or thinks a little bit more clearly, he spends a year of fine-tuning how transmission interacts with the engine. And then once he does that, how the suspension interacts with that. And only then he starts paying attention to tires. Which car you think will function better? If given to the same driver, right? So a lot of dudes, they tuning their guns, their tools, without addressing the suck of the one who's gonna handle the tools. You know, in essence, really, that's the explanation of hardware over software. You know, we're not addressing the operating system, we're addressing the fucking buttons on our, you know, keyboard. I need that softer touch, and that's what's going to make a program run smoother. Really? Really? It's that what you think? You know, it's delusional, but here's the thing. It's not delusional because people are stupid. No, people are actually smart. They only make a willful decision not to pay attention to that. Because that you cannot buy. That you have to work on. Hardware solutions are buyable. Software solutions are not. Money does not do shit for software solutions. You can't buy them. You know, you have to put your ass in there, sweat it, bruise it, get it stretched until it functions proper. And once it functions proper, another interesting thing happens. You see more suck. Because through the discovery of that first layer of suck, you find out there is another 6 layers underneath that one. And then you go, when does it stop? I have a cool answer for you. It doesn't. So then I do laugh and, you know, like softly I get irritated when people go like, hey, Sonny, so what red dot you have there? What? I don't fucking care. Whatever the fuck I slapped on it, it is what it is. Have I played with different razors? No, I haven't. I haven't ordered stuff from Unity. I know it's good stuff. I tried some rifles with it. I like it for certain applications. Right? But I also know that where I'm at my level, I'm not there yet to truly make fully informed decision what gear is best for me. That's me.
So for you,
So what the fuck you think the guy who has taken 6 classes and he's spending $3,000 to fucking fine tune his rifle? You know? And that's the state of industry. And this is why most companies, 95% so-called training companies out there, make more money on selling gear on their websites than training.